Nice.
Yeah. I went to Southwestern Assembly of God, played football. I had 2 scholarships, one for football and one for music.
Man, that's don't all musicians play football at the college level? Like they go hand in hand, right?
I don't know, but I enjoyed it.
I don't think
Grew up
so.
playing in church. Of course, went to a Christian college, so you got to play.
You know, we had a guy on our high school football team. He was 220 pounds, just like massive muscle running back, and he did ballet.
Hey, he's an athlete.
Oh yeah, he's good.
My son, 6th grader, he has been a tank wrestler, but he did gymnastics like the first 5 years of his life. He's super tough. We better get this going. Hey, well, welcome back to the Bennett Breakdown. I've got a different guest today. Brandy is not with me. This guy's not near as good looking as her.
No.
But man, we are proud to have your honor, the mayor of Amarillo, Texas. There's a lot of people who probably be listening. I know I've got lots of friends all over the place. So this is representing 79109 or 106 or Potter County and Randall County. And man, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me tonight.
Yeah.
And then look forward to doing a good show with you. And I've got some time. If you got good questions, we'll roll.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I know a little bit about you, but I think people would want to know, are you from here?
So born and raised. So,
awesome. Native.
Went to high school right up the road here.
Randall?
Randall High. Mm-hmm. So graduated in 97. Went to Amarillo College because my high school sweetheart was not going to go off to college. And I kind of thought, man, if I go down to tech, like probably going to lose the best thing, in my life. And so I was like, well, I'll do the college thing here for a year and then figure it out. And,
you'd lose more than just
right
that. Texas
Tech.
Sure.
That was the plan. The plan was to
we won't get into details.
The plan was to be a dentist.
Oh.
So, and all my buddies went to tech and didn't go. Started a small business at 19 and went out of business within the first 6 months. Dropped out of college because I was trying to run the business and go to college same time. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be self-employed. And loved the fact that it was kind of like unlimited potential, like you were just going to be worth whatever you were worth that day.
Absolutely.
And so,
well, is that the same business that you have? I mean, obviously,
well,
it was down the same.
Yeah, so
vein?
Construction related. So
okay.
I'm a general contractor here in town. We've been in business 25 years. Married Shiloh. She was a Tascosa girl. So I had thoroughly offended all of the dating population over at Randall. So I had to go all the way across town.
Pond.
Lesser reputation over there. They didn't know. And then, went to school at Gene Howe Elementary, Valley View Junior High, Randall High School, and then done with school.
Randall County.
So, yeah. So I'm your local blue-collar mayor. No Harvard degree in law. And we're down there figuring out how legislation works.
That's awesome.
It's
you're
fantastic.
super fit too. Do you work out?
Well, I try to keep up with my wife. She's the athlete out of the family, and so thank you. I think if you buy the jacket small enough, like you look way more.
I do it
fit,
every time. Absolutely.
So,
in the tan, is that UV rays or is that sun rays?
I tan up pretty quick.
I didn't know if you just got off of a.
I'm still outside
vacation.
Quite a bit. So like being construction related, we're on the job sites, and so.
So we just came out of a conservative Patriots for Texas, and they meet on what is it? The third Thursday of the month. It's the third Thursday of the month, and in those of you that are local, it's a great organization. Get caught up on local politics and even statewide, I would say. And even nationwide, and Bailey's, shout out to them. They do an awesome job. But one of the things when Alex Fairley introduced you tonight, he said this, that you have there's been some sacrifices that you've made in your life. I think a lot of people would want to know those things because I know people know it, but they don't realize it. Mm-hmm. Even as a pastor, like some sacrifices that you make. What are some that stand out to you?
Yeah, so this role, getting to be the mayor of Amarillo, the greatest level of personal sacrifice in
Sure.
that. And what I mean by that is it's the most public position that I've taken.
Hmm.
And so you're the lead volunteer. So a lot of people don't realize like it's an unpaid position. So we get $10 per meeting. So they pay us $20 a month.
Wow.
Um, and I'm so kind of spiteful about it. I'm like, no, I don't want the money. They're like, no, we have to pay you. I'm like, well, I'd rather you not, because I really want to be able to tell everybody like I'm not getting paid anything. So I donate it to the 100 Club, just so it can be like I feel like for
You were
me,
saying tonight it's like 40 hours a week right now.
well, the way our government's structured, we have what's called a weak mayor and council and a strong city manager. So the city manager should make a good high salary, be the CEO. He should have good admin below him, and we as council should be more like a board. And so in that function of government, we should meet and just discuss policies, set a
Hmm.
budget, and then kind of go home. It doesn't function that way right now. We've let our previous city manager go. We have our interim city manager right now. Promoted another assistant city manager to deputy. We're changing all sorts of things down there. We're getting back to basics, infrastructure, sewer and water. We came through the flood. So when you're talking government and all that, you're also talking, well, I run, a construction company.
Yeah.
I own a couple of them. And then my daughter's 22. She's in Canyon. We wanted to kind of get her enrolled in Hard Knocks University. And so she has a small business called the Bubble Bar down there in Canyon.
Okay.
They do like fruit smoothies and boba tea.
Is it right there on the strip?
Yep, right there. Right, it actually is just inside of Buff's Diner.
Oh, okay.
So super people there, and so she's learning. So we're, involved in. Okay, let's make sure those cups are ordered and everything else. And then my youngest,
Responsibility.
yeah, my youngest just went to DBU. So she just graduated from San Jacinto Christian Academy, went to DBU, and so having a freshman in college, well, it's a busy time of life,
Oh my gosh.
everything. And then the city is 2,500 individuals plus, so that's a big organization. So 2,500 plus employees. Um, you
This
have your
is free.
yeah. Well, so I mean, from a point of spirituality, like we're all selfishly motivated.
Sure.
And so like I'm no better than anybody else. It's not like, hey, I'm giving all my time away. I'm expecting a reward. I just don't want it in the form of money.
Sure.
So like I'm eternally minded in this,
Yeah.
and I want to get off of the sideline as much as possible. So I want to be out there and I want to make the biggest impact I can. Now, if I go and start two more businesses and I grow those into big companies and I mentor individuals and bring them into the company and we grow like that, that's a great path.
Absolutely.
My path just happened to be more political.
And I love that because one of the things that I say around here as a leader, and I've already seen that on you the few times that I've heard you speak, is I mean, obviously a biblical motto is where I'm going to go as being a minister of the gospel. But in the book of Mark, where it talks about Jesus came not to be served, but he came to serve.
Right.
And I think everybody needs to hear that tonight. But what you're saying is you're coming to serve this community. And
What I love about it is that's how it was set up. So like political science honestly should never exist. I mean, if you look at the way our founders founded this nation, I mean, they left their practice, they left their home, they were doctors, they were lawyers, they were farmers, ranchers. They went and they wrote a document, they invested their time, and then they went back home. And so, like, I think this is the way that servant leadership should function, and it's the only way to do this, in my opinion, do it correctly. So, like, if I was able to get paid, I don't know that I would want it. I don't know that it would be as genuine.
It's what you're called to do for
It-
such a time as this.
It's like your banker, man. He's not going to loan you 100%. You got to have skin in the game. It's got to be
Yes.
yours. And so, man, when you've put as much time and energy into something and there's not a financial outcome, you're pretty bought into your own principles and beliefs and the direction that you feel led to go.
And you have to do that because, I mean, I'm not the mayor, obviously, but I feel the heat being a pastor. Like, I mean, it'd be like being the general manager of a country club. You've got some people that are so for you, got other people that it doesn't matter what you do, what you say.
Right.
Like, for instance, when we took the church over, Brandy's parents are the founders of this house, and we took it over in 2019. Well, then 2020 hits. Well, you know what happened. It hit the fan of COVID, and it's like, how do you navigate? You don't learn this in Bible school at all on how to navigate this. And you have people saying, if you keep having church, I'm leaving. If you don't have church, I'm leaving.
Right.
And so that happened right in. And I was thinking about this. As soon as you become mayor, we get 27 inches of rain. Discount tire on I-40 is underwater.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, so.
We evacuated an entire, like apartment complex,
Oh,
hotel, houses.
we live over. And I remember I was taking trash out in the alley, and there's two boys had two canoes hanging out the back.
Yeah.
We're going to make bad decisions.
Right.
You know, like, I mean, this was totally against the character of Amarillo, Texas. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, and for you to tell me and tell the audience tonight, or whenever they hear this, that, you're doing this because God's called. I believe God's called you for such a time as this to be in the position that you're in.
Well, and I love the fact that for several people, you want to take and you want to separate, church and state, and you want to say like, well, you're a government official now, and you can't bring your spiritual your beliefs, your values, that's not true at all. One, I'm not a government official, so I'm an elected representative.
Mm-hmm.
I got elected based on certain principles and values that I put forward, just like my life experiences. So I can't no more leave my 25 years of business know-how behind in how I set a budget, nor would you want me to.
Absolutely.
And so the fact that, my principal belief in saying, well, I'm a Christian and I'm a citizen of the kingdom first, says, well, I mean, what I need to do then is I need to, treat you the way I'd want to be treated. I need to consider you more than I consider myself, So Philippians 2, like, esteem others as better than yourself, and you'll fulfill these things. So when you go down that path, you're on a good road to bring things that are balanced in government, and we want that. So I want your belief system. I want honesty. I want integrity. I want the unselfish side of things. The fact that we would tell people, oh yeah, but we don't need prayer before the meeting, or we don't need you to mention God, or we just want you to make all these good decisions, but not with an eternal mindset. Like, okay, well, man, what's my motive? I mean, is it really about potholes and taxes?
Yes.
Is this really? I mean, is my number one
Graffiti.
concern your trash can? Like, because you're calling my office saying, hey, my trash didn't get emptied. No problem, sir. Let me see what I can do to help.
Yeah.
And then that afternoon they get over there and they get it, and then you get the, hey, thank you. It's sat there for whatever. But running a city organization, we just need to be practical. We're asking people to run it with parts and pieces of who they are, and I think it's important that you know who I am, and then you voted me in, and if you don't like me, you can vote me out.
I'm curious of this, and obviously we voted for you, and super happy that you're in the position that you're in. I'm just curious, and I think you're surrounded by a great councilman. I mean, everybody, right? Don't you agree?
Oh, I think I have a tremendously strong council. And so if you look at each of those four individuals, they're all a little different. They all bring a different
and that's
point
what
of
you
view.
want.
Oh, yes. And it happened organically.
Perspectives.
It's perspective. But then in leading a team that's that strong, like I'm very, very fortunate, and I'm not over leading.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I need to run a good meeting. I need to make sure that people have time to talk, but then I don't have to go and try to kind of orchestrate what I think the outcome needs to be, and then lead you down the narrative that I want you, one breadcrumb at a time to arrive at, and that's bad governance. And that's what you see a lot of the time.
Well, you brought it up tonight. You talked about, I forget how you put it, that about comments.
Public comment.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So one of the first things we changed when we got elected and we got sat up on the dais, we took the velvet ropes down. That they're symbolic. They just say like, you stay back there, we're up here. We're not all the same.
We
And
elected you to be us.
yeah. And so we took the velvet ropes down, and then we changed public address to public comment. And
I love that.
legally, I think they kind of pushed back a little bit at the beginning, like, "Well, I don't think you can do that." Well, yeah, actually, we can. It's their meeting, And so for me to be able to say, "Look, you get your 3 minutes, and you can get up and you can speak to me on anything, not just what's on the agenda." And during discussion, I can call on you and let you speak again when you as a citizen want to rise and speak to the item that we're discussing. And when we work like this, these solutions get better.
Absolutely. I love it.
I enjoy it.
I'm curious of this. Well, when you became mayor, was it heavy?
Well, yeah. So there's a different weight to it.
Oh, imagine.
I think
because you were already.
I was place one.
Yeah, you was place
but
one.
I was kind of the outcast on place one. I mean, there was a lot of 4-1 votes, and so I enjoyed those. And voting no was good for me. I hadn't been able to vote no on anything since I've been mayor. I'm going to have to find something I can vote against just so I feel normal.
I'm curious, like when you started going through the budget, like one of the things tonight, you said there's people that are inside of y'all's office over there for 30 years that are saying this is the best budget it's ever been. I'm curious, was there like, and I think the people of Amarillo would want to know this, was there some crazy stuff that we were buying and in the budget, like Diet Dr. Peppers and pens stacked up? Or,
like it's directional waste, meaning you were just going the wrong direction. So like when we as a city are buying buildings and we're saying, well, we need more storage, that's just the wrong direction. And that wastefulness happens in millions. When you look at the staff and the way in which the staff functions, they do a whole lot with very little. So we have 30 different departments and all sorts of services, and we only get roughly 18-19% of that dollar that you give in taxes. So not all of your property tax comes to the city. It goes to multiple taxing entities, and I get, let's say, 18% of that. When you look at the budget that I have and you really run it, and you say, okay, man, you provide the sewer and the water and the trash and police and fire and all of this,
stacks up.
It adds up really quickly. So we do a pretty good job. Now, were we able to go through and find some efficiencies? We were. And so for us to find $9 million was a big deal. And that was in year one. So I hope we get better every year.
$9 million first year.
First year.
My goodness.
So, and we were able to put cost of living increase back in for all of our retirees in this budget year. We didn't think we were going to be able to do that. And then we were able to prioritize some stuff. And then we worked over roughly a $4 million working budget. So what I wanted was, it's very unfair if you think about the way they do the budget. So you get elected, and 6 weeks later, you need to understand an 850-page budget, and then you come to a meeting and you get 2 days to discuss it. And during those 2 days, you have different department heads that are coming in, and they're being very polite, and they're like, well, I would like this, but if you don't give me whatever. And so basically you have very, very little impact with, it's all bureaucratic.
Sure.
In the way of like, the staff's kind of going to direct that. So what we did is we told the council, hey, we're going to televise these, and we're going to invite the public to them, and then we're just going to go slow. And so we did 7 different days, not 2 days, to get through all the departments. And we literally went department by department.
You're learning at the same time.
We learned so much on that. And then
all the councilmen.
All of them, all 5 of us were there. And we walked through that, and we turned out a good, solid budget. But by going through that, what we figured out was, like, if we take this $1 million off of our tax rate and we go and we borrow good debt with it, I can borrow $13.4 million with that at the city level. And my interest rate's like a third what your interest rate would be. Well, with that, I can go and I can get to $10 million worth of roads. Well, potholes, new, growth, overlays, whatever we're looking at. So if I do that every year, think about what I'm doing for the future council. That future council is going to have, once that 10 million rolls off, so we go and we do that work, and we go and we do $100 million worth of road projects over the next 10 years, let's say, which we need to do even more than that.
Sure.
But at least now we're gaining on the problem. Well, when those debts come back up, they're already built into your budget. And so now you have borrowing power again. It's like a line of credit as a businessman.
I see it.
So if I go and I start a business and I say, well, my overhead pays down this much of my line of credit every month, then 10 years later, I have repeating line of credit overhead that comes back up that's already built into my costs, of doing business.
That's why I'm thankful you're in the position, because you've been doing this for 25 years.
It's a very business way to look at it.
Absolutely.
Not a government way. The government way is, well, let's go and let's figure out how many road projects we need.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's go to our tax base and let's tell them how bad everything is. And let's give them a bond, $100 million bond. And if they pass it, then we go do the job. If they don't pass it, then we're just going to tell them, like, hey, man, it's kind of on you. We offered it and y'all said no. You say you didn't want higher taxes. Well, so we're working within. We didn't have to increase your taxes, and we're getting to $10 million in road projects in 1 year.
That's awesome.
And I don't know that you can do a lot more than that. I don't know that you can go do $50 million worth of road projects in 1 year.
I mean, you
can only do what you can do.
Yeah, one bite at a time. Well, I think I've wanted to ask this, and you kind of alluded to it tonight, and not go real long with it, but one of the things that I do, like as a pastor of this church, is I bring up the state of the address of the church, where we've been, where we're at, are right now,
mm-hmm.
and where we need to go. And how would you summarize that?
Ultimately, where we've been is in the last 5 months, we came through a flood. We parted ways with the city manager. We installed some new management. We've got a new vision. We put forward a very, very solid budget. That's only 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
In politics, normally they'll tell you, like, you're in your first year, you're no good. Well, you don't get the opportunity to be no good when there's 5 new ones. And so I know I was there 2 years before, but that's not anywhere in the same capacity of what I'm trying to work at. So you have 5 brand new people down there trying to lead good policies for the city. So that's where we've come from, and we came through it in the way of, like, I believe the biggest thing for this council that I really love and that I see us working together on is it's the right role of government.
Mm-hmm.
The question that we're saying is this the right role of
Mm-hmm.
should I be doing this? Or,
yes.
What is the correct action here in providing something foundational for you to go and build on? And then how do I get out of your way?
Mm-hmm.
It's a small government philosophy, and that's what you're seeing at work. And then they have plenty of people have criticized the fact that I've said, hey, we need to run the city like a business. And you get that on the church deal as well. And you'll say, look,
I'm saying preach over here.
It's a church.
You have to.
Well, the people will say, well, it's a church. You can't run it like a business. Well, okay, so it's a city. You can't run it like a business. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I give you the fact that there's some semantics in there, and I can agree with.
Well, look where we've came from.
Well, and if you look at, like, good business principles, you can put those into government accounting, and you can put those in. It's the same enterprise system. And so when there's accountability, when there's performance, when there's production, there's rewards, and when there's not, there's consequences. And that is the antithesis of government in spending. If we didn't get it done, then let's just charge more.
Absolutely. I think that's what a leader does. He's loyal. He encourages. He adapts when he needs to, under pressure. He's dependable. I always say this. What do depends do for elderly people? They put up with a bunch of crap and they get the job done, right? Enthusiastic and responsible, and I think that's where that money and business and all of that comes in. So,
well, I'll tell you the nice thing about the 5 that we've got there, and Kraft may be the only one that's a little different. I have to run payroll every week, so, like, I'm responsible to pay, there may be 40 different families that we're in one way or another. They're looking to us to make sure we're managing. So I have accountability every Friday as a businessman. And so I don't get to just go to my customers and say, hey, we just need more money.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make it work. I have to figure it out on the
Sure.
job site. And so I think that's the practicality of what you're seeing us try to walk out. We want that level of accountability downtown at the city.
So I believe you're telling us, like Carol Wittenberg used to on the commercial, Amarillo's future is so bright.
She
Right?
would put her sunglasses on.
That's right. We need some sunglasses right now. I believe it is.
Yeah.
Just a few more questions. I want to go back again. I think people would have benefited from being here tonight. But one of the things, because I put it out there on my Facebook page, of what are some questions you would ask the mayor, and a lot of them were that of dealing with the homeless, the influx. If you share what you shared tonight, and I didn't realize this, but I guess you went online and went live. Like, don't give these people money.
We've put out a campaign, and I'll continue to run it, and it's a soft campaign that we'll build. So I mean, I have some signs that are up around town, and they say there's a safer way to give. Say no to panhandling. So what I'm not saying is that panhandling's illegal and that you can't do it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's a roadway safety for you standing in the middle of traffic, and I want to police that. And that ultimately, for me to say to the APD, man, you guys go out there and you guys take care of this problem. Well, they don't have the time to go and even if you were to arrest somebody, I mean, you have to inventory their stuff. You've got to take them downtown. You got to book them. I mean, that's some police officer that could be doing what I would envision a more important job than that. So what we're
Crime.
What we're saying is we have a crime problem and we want to address it. Well, the best way to address it is not to go and deal with just a panhandling issue, when you may have something else that would be more pressing. But the giver is the issue there, and so because we're a very, very giving community, and we have a reputation for that. We have a reputation for that,
people,
and we truly want to help these individuals, and I want to help them as well. But I want to help those that are willing to help themselves. And then those that are not willing to help themselves, I truly want to encourage them by being more unwelcoming, because until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, you'll never make a change.
Absolutely.
And so it's that same enabling spirit, from that mom that'll never kick her son out of the house because I just will never tell him.
I believe him this time.
Well, one day he'll figure it out. You know what? Honestly, he's not going to figure it out. He's not going to become a grown man. He's not going to mature
out of the nest
until he's responsible for his own actions. And so some of these people that are panhandlers are professional panhandlers. It's the lifestyle that they've chosen, and they go from Chicago to Arizona and they stay here, and
they stay here because they give more.
We've heard reports $150 a day, about average. So
I'm thinking about taking that up. I'm praying about it anyway.
I think we should help people. I think we should 100%. Give money. I think we should give our time. I think we should do more.
But you can't help people that don't want to be helped.
Not all of them were a direct result of a person stepping out in the roadway from panhandling, but they were in places that they're not allowed to be.
Yeah.
And we've tolerated that, and I think we're going to take some appropriate steps to help correct it.
Absolutely. I think people need to know that because people have big hearts out there. Just real quick, but in high school, we were playing a basketball game, and there was this guy that he was panhandling on the corner, and we saw him go from there and go to get in a BMW.
Yeah.
And my coach actually, he said, "Hey, come in here. I'm going to buy you a burger." And he sat down with us, and he was just straight up honest with us.
Yeah.
And he said, "It's one Christmas 2 years ago. Lost my job. Came down here. Been making cash. It's hard to get out of this lifestyle." And people need to know that. People need to know that. I mean, I know that's one story out of a million out there, and I know there's some genuine people that need help. But
and what we want to focus on as a city is homelessness is different than panhandling.
Yeah.
And so, choosing to remain homeless for a time so you can, travel and do different things, that's different than, Our homeless population is a totally different tactic for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have other agendas and other incentives and things we're working at for them, and those are the things that come down to mental illness. Maybe it's drug addiction. Maybe there's something else that's gone on, and so those are the things that we want to try to bring you back into the society, and that our community will pay that cost, and we'll deal with that on the back end or on the front end. We feel like it's better to deal with it on the front end and try to help that individual.
That's good. One more thing. I mean, I could ask you questions all night, but I'm not going to. You said tonight that crime is up, but it's violent crime that is up, and we just share a little bit about that of how we need police officers,
Right. Yeah.
and we need we obviously want the right men on the job, and what can we do to get those police officers on board?
Well, and then the numbers are good. We always have metrics and we can look at the numbers. And so when you look at it, crime is not up overall. Like in the way in which when you break the numbers down, there's a way to review that data and you're like, well, we didn't have this many break-ins or we didn't have this many types of issues. But then when you look at violent crime, what we're seeing is we're seeing individuals that now are choosing to resolve a matter with a firearm versus
rather than
resolving it
fists,
some other way.
cussing each other out.
Right. Or using your words. So when you have a domestic violence issue, and there's two people in the front yard screaming and yelling at each other and the police respond to that, everybody goes away and 2 days later they calm down. What we're seeing is that some of those domestic violence calls are shootings.
Escalating more.
They escalate more. And so we're living in a society right now that doesn't value human life as much as it used to.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in a society right now where we've isolated ourselves willingly because we have 4,000 friends on Facebook and because we've decided not to go and involve ourselves, not to go and be part of the solution. And so when we do that and when we see the breakdown in the family, dad's not around, mom's struggling, inflation's up, then what we see is it's harder to have a safer environment.
Sure.
And so all of those are the root cause, and then we are dealing with symptoms. But how we deal with these symptoms is straightforward, head on. I mean, if we're dealing with shootings, like how do we attack those from a policing aspect? And so we need better technology. We need more boots on the ground. We need a greater police visibility.
What do you mean by technology? Like,
so think about like if you're a police officer and you're responding to calls, and you have a call. Let's say there's a theft and somebody's videoed it or whatever. You may spend hours where you're not doing what you need to do because you're uploading data.
oh,
If you're
I
a
see.
detective,
Time.
So we fall behind in our detectives because our technologies aren't as efficient as they need to be, and just how we file data sometimes, in the way in which how we're filing reports, and then communication and other things that are going on just our patrol. And then I think it's cumulative. It's not one issue. There's a lot of little things.
Sure.
Having the right equipment, and then man, it's just hard when you're having to work overtime. So it's something that we're trying to address.
Because you're saying tonight we need 25. We need 25.
We have 25 vacancies in our police department, but that's not uncommon. I mean, I think for years we've probably ran below where we would like to be. And what I'm really speaking to is the fact that like our police department, our police officers need to hear us say, we back the blue.
We're proud of them.
We're proud of them. They
Thankful
are our
for
local heroes. We want them here. We want a heavily policed population by the people that we live around and that we know, and we want a safe society. And law and order matters.
Yeah, and this woke world has made people.
Everything's relative.
Absolutely. Made people maybe not be so excited about becoming a police officer, and so that's why we, as a community, need to. When they're in line at Blue Sky, tell them
buy that coffee, man.
Yeah, or
buy
something.
that burger.
Absolutely, tell them we appreciate them and thankful for them. So, well, man, is there anything you want to say?
As a quick one, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you and the church and you letting us come here. Always an honor when I get to come and speak to the conservative patriots and kind of hit the highlights and so I enjoy um, the way that you like to lead and we're probably fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's refreshing for people. You know what you're going to get with Travis. You know what you're going to get with Cole.
Absolutely.
And it's not for everybody, man. I definitely have those that dislike it, and I hear about it, and that's okay. I'm doing the best I can with what I got, and if it's not good enough, I'll get out of your way.
Well, I got definitely a bunch of haters out there but I don't lose any sleep over it.
Well, and I think the most important part for me in wanting to do this job the right way is I'm never going to do a good job for any of us if I care about what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just need to go get the work done.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming
Hey,
on. Let's do it again sometime. There's a lot more topics I could have went over. But
yeah, we'll get an hour next time.
Sounds good.
Appreciate
you.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Thank you for being an awesome mayor.
Well, we're trying.
All right. That's it.